Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast, the place for conversations with adaptive athletes in the CrossFit space and beyond. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. On today's episode, I'm talking with Christina Mazzullo. Christina and her husband are affiliate owners of CrossFit Tar Heel in the Raleigh-Durham area. She's an L2 coach. They have 13 coaches on their staff. And of last May, she is a registered dietitian. Christina competes in the upper 2-point division in adaptive CrossFit. In our conversation, we talk about how she discovered CrossFit, how she was hesitant at first, but how once she took it on with some excellent coaching, she became quite competitive. She placed second at the CrossFit Games in 2022, first in 23, and first in 2025. Now we're going to talk about all the things that she discovered along the way of this journey, including discovering a rope climb in the middle of class while coaching the rope climb, rebuilding her grip strength from scratch, the amenities that make CrossFit Tar Heel really distinct, and where nutrition fits into the entire picture of being an athlete. So here's my conversation with Christina Mazzullo. Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast. I'm here today with Christina Mazzullo. Christina, how's it going?
It's going great.
Good. Awesome. And as we begin, I'd like to make the note that you like to go by Tina. So I'm going to be referring to you as Tina for the rest of the episode. But if you have seen Christina around, she is the same person, just with a longer name.
My adult name, my husband says.
My adult name. That's right. Yeah. If anybody calls me Matthew, we've got problems. Like,
like something is,
yes. Yeah. 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 It's like my mom is in the room or I am in trouble. Yes. That is how it is. So Tina, you just recently accomplished something really huge. You called it your RD. I'm not sure exactly what that is. If you could explain that for me, what it means. You just graduated school in May with a degree, all this cool stuff that you've been doing.
Yes, that's a registered dietitian.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working on it now for my son's whole life, 17 years. That's when I started. But because of my husband's career, we get moved around a lot and you kind of have to start over or take a break, or there's not a school nearby that will accept your credits, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then they actually changed it to where to become an RD, you have to have a minimum of a master's now. So before you only needed a bachelor's.
Yeah.
So by the time I did get around, after already doing my bachelor's, they were like, oh, just kidding. You need a master's now.
Oh, wow. So you had to go back to school to get a master's in what? Anything? Or did it have to be in dietitian or nutrition?
Nutrition studies,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that at the University of North Carolina, or where'd you do that at?
NCCU, which it's up in Durham here in the Triangle area.
Yeah.
We're done. So I don't have to do that anymore.
We are done with school. We are good to go. We have the degree. We have the certification. I mean, it's more than a certification, right? I mean, it's like a...
Yeah, they call me doctor around the gym. Dr. Tina.
That's
it's
awesome.
Not really, but you kind of go to med school. It's similar. You have to do an internship at a hospital and, clinical internship. And there's a lot that goes into it. It does have to do with, metabolism of nutrients and how that affects your body. So there is a medical side to it, but it's just a joke. I'm not actually a doctor, just a registered dietitian.
But I think it's interesting, though. I was having a conversation in another episode with Sarah Tucker, who is an adaptive coach, and she was talking about how in inpatient and outpatient rehab experiences for her as a PT, she just saw how much the need is for better continuums of care for people. And I would imagine that as a registered dietitian, when you were in hospitals, you were experiencing that people need, nutrition advice.
Oh, absolutely. And they need it early.
Yeah.
They call that healthcare 3.0, preventative care, instead of putting a Band-Aid or a pull-up on something.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Getting that nutrition dialed in, because it can just prevent all these other problems downstream.
Absolutely. And from a young age, it needs to start with children. Children are so adaptive, if you will, if I can use that word. They can almost eat anything and you can't see the effects a lot of times, but the effects, they're still there. I mean, when you have atherosclerotic buildup in your, the plaque in your arteries, when you have that building up, it takes years and years and years and years for that to happen. It's not something that happens overnight. So the damage can already begin at a young age.
Okay. But
that's why our youth, it's so important.
And it doesn't mean, though, that like if your kid is eating terribly right now, that all hope is lost. Like they can, you can always change your diet and it can still have positive impacts, right?
Oh, even if you're 80.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to work at a diet clinic, and I love data. Data is great. You can see when people change their diet that their blood pressure, it's a linear change. So it just keeps dropping down, down,
Yeah.
down, down. Like as their weight drops, their blood pressure drops. And as they start, actually looking at what they're eating, consuming more protein, eating more fruits and vegetables, things like that, focusing on the what and the how much, that their blood pressure and all of their blood markers actually do improve.
Wow.
Have you heard of levels?
Levels?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
This podcast is not sponsored by Levels, but Levels is pretty cool because you can actually see the changes that happen in your blood work. And a lot of times when we go to the doctor, we just kind of go and then we leave. We don't really get much education of ourselves. We just like get a clean bill of health or not.
Yeah. Right. I have something to be concerned about or I don't. And I will see you next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Not like, hey, you could do a little bit better here. I think we all probably have areas where we can probably do a little bit better. There's not enough of that conversation, to your friend's point, to Sarah's point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, this is really interesting. I think we'll touch back on this later in the conversation. Because this is, I can tell in this little bit of the conversation, this is so critical to who you are and how you kind of see coaching and see your own development as an athlete.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about how you discovered CrossFit. I think you mentioned it was like 14 years ago that you met a coach and you were kind of trying out CrossFit. What was that like?
Well, Justin introduced me to CrossFit. I started out with a personal trainer at Gold's Gym. That was my first experience with physical fitness, if you will, at least in a structured sense. I would run, and because, running, that's easy for me being an upper extremity athlete. So I would be like, oh, well, I can't do anything else. I guess I should go run.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then when I started going to Gold's Gym, he started trying to think outside the box on how to help me grip things. And we started with little things like V-ups. I don't need any help with that, right? And then it kind of evolved from there. But actually, my introduction to CrossFit was Justin, and he was super fit. He was trying to go into the special forces, and he was just the fittest to fit. And he took me to CrossFit Oahu, and I had a baby in a stroller, and I was overweight and not fit at all because, as I said, I wasn't really prioritizing fitness. I was just running, right? And I saw all these people swinging around on the rig, and they all had protruding abs and no clothes. We're already in Hawaii, so everybody's already half naked.
Right,
but now they're even more naked, I feel like. And then there's a grill outside where they're just walking up to the grill and this is funny because I actually do this now, but they're just walking up to the grill, grabbing meat and just eating it without a fork. And I thought that was the weirdest thing. Like, what are you doing? You want me to do this?
Wow.
Like, this isn't me. I'm just going to go run.
Yeah.
Clearly, I can't swing from the bar, the pull-up bar. Right. So I really I can only imagine what my clients at my gym think. But I know for me as an adaptive athlete, I for sure looked at that like unfathomable.
Yeah.
I'll just push the stroller.
Well, yeah, I remember the first time I walked into a CrossFit gym, I just remember going to the owner and just being like, I have CP. You got any ideas? Like, it was just like, I don't, I had to put myself out there. I mean, I'm sure you had that similar experience of being like, I don't know what I can do and what I can't do. And would you like to figure it out? Man, it probably helped that Justin was your partner to kind of, coach you through it. But that experience for adaptives, walking into a CrossFit gym for the first time can be pretty intimidating.
Absolutely. And it feels like there's a lot of things you can't do. Luckily, yes, in a sense, I did say, I can't do that. But he was very gentle with me. And it was like, he didn't let me make excuses, but also at the same time, it was a journey we took together of how can we figure out how you can, instead of either A, forcing me into physical activity, or B, giving up. It was somewhere in the middle where he was very gentle about it, and gentle giant, if you will.
Yeah. And at the time, I mean, you knew very little about CrossFit in the sense of did you have an L1 at that point or soon in your time of training?
No, he did.
Okay.
I did not. I probably didn't get one until, hang on. 1, 2. I got one right after I joined my first ever CrossFit gym, but I started doing actual CrossFit in our backyard, and he built me a GHD out of boxes.
Oh,
I know
wow.
that sounds wild, but and then I would go to the On Post gym, and they had a lot of CrossFit equipment there, not very organized. It was all over the place, but we also had one of the commanders brought the FRG group. That's the family readiness group for military spouses. That he held like a CrossFit class for us. And so that was kind of my start while Justin was deployed. And then I started my first gym in Louisiana, which was at Denham Springs. And that's outside. I went to LSU. That's where I went to school for dietetics.
Oh, okay.
And my first CrossFit gym was there at CrossFit Denham Springs.
Okay. But like, so when you were in Oahu going to that CrossFit gym, that was early on, and then you guys had moved somewhere else, or Justin had been deployed, but you weren't
No,
at
I
that
told you,
CrossFit.
I said, no, I'm not going to that place.
Oh, you
I
said
can't do
no.
that.
I thought you might
Yeah.
have seen the meat on the grill and thought maybe I could give this a
No.
shot.
No
No,
way.
you didn't even go.
No.
Let's set the
No.
record straight here, people. Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
No,
Cool.
in my
So-
backyard felt much safer behind closed doors with a privacy fence where nobody could see me.
Yeah.
That felt like a much safer place. And my husband kind of gently massaged,
Okay.
made sure that I was ready. If you
Yeah.
will.
No, it reminds me of the first time I went to a spin class. And I was like, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. Why am I on the second row? I need to be in the back. What is happening right now? And like, I couldn't clip in, I couldn't clip out. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I probably felt like you felt at the Oahu CrossFit gym, like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Yeah.
It's very scary and overwhelming. And that's one of the things that, Justin says, or he was saying on the way here to get ready for this podcast when we were talking about this, is he was like, well, now you do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was him, encouraging me or telling me that I could do something that I didn't believe that I could. But now it's me. It's me looking at something and saying, how can I do that?
Yeah. That mental shift is so fascinating, right? I mean, we just kind of jumped about, 10 years into the future, but that 10 years was a lot of hard work, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. And a lot of failures. You don't just get, somewhere in one day.
Yeah. That's a good reminder. So let's talk about that journey a little bit as you kind of, so you became affiliate owners in 2019. I think, right? Is that when you guys opened CrossFit Tar Heel?
Yes. So that first CrossFit gym experience was back in 2013.
Okay.
And then the gym owner was 2019.
Okay. And you guys opened that affiliate?
No, we took it over.
So
we were coaching there. We moved in 2016. We moved there and became coaches there.
Okay.
And then we took it over.
Okay. So you guys become the affiliate owners of this CrossFit gym. And this whole time, you're known to the community as an adaptive athlete, right? You have, you're L2 at this point or still in L1?
Yes. In 2019 is when, or 2018, 19 area is when I got my L2.
Okay. So you're an L2 owner interfacing with other coaches as an adaptive athlete. What is that experience like? And maybe now we can get into a little bit about what your adaptation is and how it particularly presents, because you're on the floor, not only coaching, but you're coaching coaches and you're telling coaches what the standards are and what you would expect. And I imagine that is grown from all your experiences as an adaptive athlete being coached yourself, what you would have wished you had heard or what you did hear.
Absolutely. One thing that I will say, and we say this to our coaches, you don't have to do to be able to teach. I'll never forget, and this is circa 2019. This is actually back in like 2017. I was teaching a rope climb, and it was my favorite movement to teach athletes as a coach. And I couldn't do one. And matter of fact, it was still in the time frame when I was in the mindset of I can'ts. And this was one of my unfathomable things. Like this is just something I'll never be able to do. So, and I just chopped it up to that. And I would study about it and how other people could do it. And I knew all the drills that they could do, right? But I didn't have a thumb. So I was like, I'll never be able to do that. And I'll never forget, I was coaching it one day. And do you know how rope climbs hurt your ankles?
I do when the rope
have you
like
ever heard that, and people put knee sleeves on their ankle.
Oh yeah. So you don't get a burn.
Yeah.
100%.
So this is a funny story. That day was really cold and I was wearing Uggs, and Uggs have like a lot of padding in the
Yeah.
ankles. And I used to be kind of a little bit softer than I am now. I'm a little rough around the edges now, but before I was a little softy. And if something hurt, I would stop.
Mm,
So I had the adaptation thing, yes. I had the mental I can'ts, but I also had I was a little baby and I would be
yeah.
like, oh, that hurts, so I'm not going to do it. I've healed all those things now, but I was teaching the rope climb and I was showing them how to actually like hook in. And then I just kept going up the rope
Oh, that's so cool.
in the middle of a class, like while I was teaching it. It was almost like I was teaching myself. It
Yeah.
was because I had actually gained the requisite strength in the upper body to be able to pull at that point, whereas prior I couldn't. And then I also took out the roadblock of the hurting ankle. So
Mm,
I had taken out all the roadblocks other than my thumb
yeah.
or lack
Right.
thereof.
Right.
There were other roadblocks that I took out, which I think is a good lesson for any adaptive athlete. If you can stop focusing on your adaptation and start focusing on what else does it require to do that movement and maximize those things,
Yeah.
instead of saying I can or I never can, it's like, okay, well, what all does it require? And let's try to figure that out, which I like that Equip Products kind of helps with that too, right?
Hmm.
It helps kind of eliminate barriers. But
Right.
yeah, that
Right.
was my funny story. So now I can do the rope climb
Yep.
and I can teach the rope climb. But I went through that period where I taught a lot of people how to rope climb. Today, like with muscle ups, right? I just got my first muscle up this year or last year.
Wow.
And I teach others to muscle up and they come up to me all the time and they're like, Tina, remember you taught me that. You taught me that. And they're so excited, right? And but I can't muscle up. That doesn't mean I can't get you a muscle up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to your point, as a coach, that's what I teach is you don't have to be able to do to teach.
Hmm. How many coaches are you responsible for?
13.
Wow. That's amazing. I saw on the CrossFit.com website, like you have a lot of people signed up for the open.
Yes. Yeah, we
Yeah.
really push the open. And actually this year we have a lot less than normal.
Okay.
We usually have a lot more by now. So we're really pushing it. But I do I do five burpees for every sign up, I think it is. Or something like that. I don't know. It's too many.
I love that. That's a good incentive.
Yeah. And then we have a girl who makes sourdough bread.
Hmm.
Don't take any of my ideas to get people to sign up for the open.
What? We got to grow this thing. We got to grow this thing.
Fine. I'll still think of something outside.
No, I like
of the
the
box.
burpee idea. I mean, I love the sourdough idea too, but that's good. Okay. So you said you don't have a thumb on your left hand?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your impairment then, because when our audience right now who's listening is picturing you climbing a rope in Uggs, maybe they're wondering, what does that look like? And sometimes I'm sure they might be in their car or something looking at their own hands, wondering like, what would it be if I had to do this like Tina does it?
So just for the rope climb specifically, I have to keep the rope really close to my body as opposed to like suspending in air. So if you watch an able-bodied person, their torso leans backwards as their knees come to their chest. I have to pull and death grip the rope with my whole body as my knees come up.
Okay.
So that's the big difference there. And it's because of the thumb. So there's no way there's no way I have to completely let go pretty much with my left arm and then re-grip. As long as my right arm is touching the rope, I can do it, but it's really more of like my inner arm. And you might see somebody that is one point of contact that they use the same thing, kind of their underarm right here to kind of grip the rope.
Yeah.
That's what I do too.
Okay. So you don't grip the rope with your hand.
I do. It looks like it if you watch me and watch a video, it looks like I'm doing that, and I am. But to really get that 1 second where my right hand lets go, it's not that way. So it looks that way if you video it and you watch how fast, because I do it quickly, right? But there's a split second where my right hand lets go and my left arm like really crunches into the rope, and my legs too.
And so on your left hand, you said you don't have a thumb, but what fingers do you have on your left hand?
Pointer finger, middle finger, and pinky.
Okay. And all knuckles, or do you have full range of motion in them? Is it, so I think about like Jocelyn, right? Who doesn't have the joints, or I think about Julia, who's missing certain knuckles, certain, appendages on both hands. But for you, yeah, you got the 3, but I assume they aren't fully there.
Right. So this joint here, that is the actual fist joint.
Okay.
I have that, but these finger joints, you know how you have 2 there? Those are the ones that I don't have on that hand. So
Okay.
they're just, they're fused there.
Yeah.
So they weren't long enough. I'm not really sure why or what happened, but Shriners Hospital did a really great job. I'm not sure if they deal with any chronic pain, but I don't. And I call that as a win.
Mm-hmm. That's a
I did
blessing, yeah.
have, I do have a joint, so it bends, but I don't have control of it.
Oh,
Does that make
interesting.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just bends just at that fist joint instead of at the finger joint.
You have control of it at the fist joint. You just don't have control of
Right.
it beyond that.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then
Yeah,
when
and
we
they're all
think,
different.
and they're all
Sorry.
different. Okay. No, it's okay. So when we think about a movement like a dumbbell snatch, you have to have some sort of an implement on your left hand to help you snatch that dumbbell overhead, right?
Well, I'm so glad you're asking this question.
Like that
'cause
workout
I
at the
really-
games that had the burpee broad jumps.
Yes.
Did you have to alternate your hands on those snatches, or were you able to do them all on one side?
It depends on the weight.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have been able to say that in the beginning.
Okay.
So have you heard of the Festivus Games?
Yeah.
Okay. So Festivus Games said to me many years ago, probably it's pre-games. So maybe 2021 or something. They said you can't compete unless if you compete with adaptive equipment, you have to compete scaled.
Oh.
And I didn't want to compete scaled. I
Okay.
wanted to compete. I had already done competitions with my adaptive equipment scaled. I wanted to do RX or intermediate or something else. And so I was like, okay, this is clearly a barrier to entry. And at the time, I didn't know about the CrossFit Games having an adaptive division. And so I just started retraining my grip. And it's funny because I had that 155-pound clean that I tell you about, or I told you about before this. I had to retrain that from the beginning. So my first hand grip, raw hand grip clean was 75 pounds at that time. So I had already built up, obviously, the requisite strength within CrossFit over the many years, but with a strap. So I had some strength, but not the grip strength.
Okay.
And so Festivus Games kind of catapulted me into training without adaptive equipment. And so the adaptive equipment helped the barrier to entry of that girl pushing the stroller. And now I had another barrier where I couldn't actually use my hand without adaptive equipment. So I started training that. And now to a certain weight, I can do regular grip things with some chalk and thumb tape on my not thumb.
Okay. Yeah. I get that. All 3 of them? You tape all 3 of them?
Sometimes it depends on what it is, but
Okay.
usually just the pointer finger. Yeah.
Okay.
So if the weight's light enough to answer your question, I can, but I couldn't before retraining from the bottom up. It was starting over essentially, which I think is important for all athletes. Like as a coach, I think at some point in your career as an athlete, you should start over because you have glaring weaknesses that need to be addressed, and you're never going to be able to address them if you keep working on bad form at high weight.
Yeah, there is some sort of a, maybe not for everybody, but the value in literally taking 2 weeks off of CrossFit or off of lifting super heavy or super crazy and rebuilding that form so that you come back into it and you're like, oh, this is what that should feel like. I was telling you before we started recording that I've kind of been trying to rebuild my kipping pull-ups that vanished on me after the games. And I just went on the floor the other day and was like, all right, let's go through that arch and that hollow. Let's really make sure we're engaging that core, and not just flinging our legs around and, trying to see if we can get our chin over the bar, but actually do a real kip. And
quarter extremity is a really important part of it. And, as an upper extremity adaptive athlete using a lot of adaptive equipment, sometimes it feels like a lot of strain on the joints.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're using your core along with the adaptive equipment, then it's the same as any other athlete. They need the same thing. They
Yeah.
need to do a quarter extremity movement too, not just flailing around on the bar.
Yeah.
Thumbless.
Right. Then flailing off the bar. Have you fallen off the bar before?
Yes,
Oh,
early on.
okay.
Yes, I did. I can't remember if I was doing a pull-up or a toes to bar, but I fell and got right back up. Mhm.
Okay. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, that was my first year in CrossFit. Growing pains, if you will. I
Yeah.
did the box thing too, where your shin's bleeding
Mhm.
everywhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I did that just one time. You only do that once, and then you never do that again.
Nice.
Not never jump on a box again, though. Just never scratch your shin again.
Yeah, just never scratch your shin again. I get it.
Yeah, some people just never jump on a box again after that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's sad.
That is unfortunate. Or you buy a padded box.
Ooh, we're actually looking at those boxes. Have you seen them where it's a wooden box? We do have the soft boxes, but they have a wooden box that has it's like a rubber edge.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, we're going to replace our boxes for those actually.
Oh, nice.
Slowly.
At Speakeasy CrossFit? Is that going to be
No,
at the
Tar Heel CrossFit.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about your competitive career for a little bit, and then we'll talk about maybe as we're talking about your competitive career, also how coaches have kind of helped you along the way in that.
Okay. Yeah, awesome.
So in 2022, you go to the CrossFit Games presented by Noble in Madison, Wisconsin, and you finish second, which is awesome. And then in 2023, you go back to the CrossFit Games presented by Noble and you finish first in the upper extremity division. Come on now. That was awesome. How were both of those experiences?
Amazing. The first one, my heart rate at rest was at 90 and the whole time.
Yeah.
And I could not get it to come down. It was overwhelming. It was so exciting, but everything was so new. And I did all of the newbie things. And there were people there that were there the year prior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure they were laughing at me. I went to go jump over the log and I slipped and fell and in front of everyone. And that was like day 0 when we're just trying out the implements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first year was just, I had expensive no reps.
Yeah.
I was just all over the place. And then the next year that I went back serious. You know, I actually took training a lot more seriously. I took my recovery more serious. The first year it was just like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here though. Yeah, but both years were a whole lot of fun. I love Madison just as like that place is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I really love Madison, the downtown area, everybody's outside. It seemed like everybody was outside there, and I love that.
Yeah, and 23, that was when the adaptive games were a few days before the elite games, right? And like your final event was on the first day of elite competition. So that final event, final positions, I think, where it was like the chest to bar and then dumbbell snatches.
Those dumbbell snatches were so heavy. Yes.
Yeah, I think, what were they, 50 pounds?
Yes.
Yeah, crazy. That programming was insane for 23. Yeah, I've looked back at that one and gone, I couldn't do that nowadays. That's crazy. Okay, but the reason I was asking about that was on that Thursday when you're in the Coliseum, was it starting to fill up a little bit? Like, because it was the same day as the elites?
So I think that I guess when we did our award ceremony, it was pretty packed. And yes, that was a really great feeling. But just being there, even if the stands weren't packed, it still had the same energy.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's because of the group of people that went to cheer me on, potentially. Like I had at least 12 people both times in a group cheering and screaming. So to me, it still felt the same way, riveting, and the energy that you're describing. But yes, when we all went out with our flags, like for our separate countries, that was pretty crowded and wild. And then when we went for the award ceremony and we were actually on podium, that was pretty wild and packed. But I think that they did a really good job keeping the energy. I don't really know how. I don't know who all those people were that were in the stands, but it still seemed pretty packed even before that day, honestly.
That's amazing. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I cannot imagine what it would have been like to be working out on that Coliseum floor. I mean, that must have been just surreal.
It was. It was. And I'm not used to that. So I didn't play sports or perform music or anything that would have put me in that type of stage
Mm-hmm.
other than CrossFit. So yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
That's cool. So as you were doing 22 into 23, and then 24, you didn't compete, but 25, you came in first at the games, and 25 as well. How has your coach or coaches grown with you as you've been competing more from 22 to 25?
Well, my coach this whole time during the games has been Justin, my husband. But prior to that, in my CrossFit, as I told you, which was way back in 2012, that personal trainer, he was very helpful. And then my first at CrossFit Denham Springs, my first coach, he got me into strapping in to a bar and using hooks and things like that, using more implements. And him and Justin both together, they kind of figured out the how. And then he says my superpower, that coach actually also always put me on a GHD.
Oh, interesting.
All the time, because he was like, I don't know what else to do. So go get on the GHD. And I did so many GHDs in the first few years of my CrossFit experience that I think I just have that really amazing core.
Yeah.
So I don't experience like the back pain like a lot of people do when things are overprogrammed, or like I can adapt to the programming because it is core to extremity at the end of the day, and I have a really strong core.
Okay.
So, and that's not like, I don't know if you experience this in your gym, but a lot of girls will come in and they'll be like, I really want to do ab movements. It's not like that. It's like actually strengthening the core. And I'm also not saying to go into a gym and do 100 GHDs every day, because that is also not a good idea. They strategically, I joke saying that they stuck me on the GHD, but I did walk it around the gym with me. It was like my little best friend. I would pick it up and walk it over to where everybody else was doing rig movements, and I would be on the GHD.
I mean, I do think there's something unique that happens for adaptive athletes sometimes when they are just learning CrossFit, because there's so many movements. And when you're adaptive, there's quite a few at the get-go that you can't do, and it's going to take a little bit of work for everybody to figure out how you're going to do those. That sometimes people will go, well, do this. This is a good way to spend your time while we're figuring this out. For me, it was wall balls and rowing. And so it's made me pretty darn good at wall balls and rowing, beyond like, sort of like you're saying with the GHD, where you're like, yeah, I did a ton of them and my core is great and that kind of thing. Like, I can get on a rower and I never feel afraid. You know, like I can get on a bike and really not feel too afraid, because it was always like, well, no, you can always do the cardio, Matt. Like, you know, even if you can't get super high intensity in like this highly gymnastics workout, you could do this as well to get some intensity. I don't know if that quite translates, but it feels similar.
Your superpower.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that sometimes that happens with adaptives, because we just kind of find ourselves doing some different things.
Well, now like, Justin and Shane coaching me with the conjugate method, the whole kind of premise, I wouldn't say whole premise, but one of the important parts of the conjugate method is accessory movements and finding glaring weaknesses and strengthening them. So obviously an adaptive athlete is going to have a lot of weaknesses and imbalances.
Yeah.
And if you can strengthen those, then they become less of a weakness. Kind of like the example I was saying with the rope climb, how I took out the other barriers.
Yeah.
So all my movements have that. And sometimes like the way that my arm orients, as we spoke of before, how my left arm orients differently to be able to actually tap into certain muscle groups. I had to learn that and use accessory movements to really push weight so that I could build strength there, instead of just relying on using my adaptive equipment to quote unquote do a movement.
Yeah.
I now am figuring out how to do a movement well, which is what we would ask our athletes, any athlete who's able-bodied.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can I interest you in a lightning round?
All right.
Why did the Martian want to go to the party?
To feel out of this world.
Ooh, close. So he didn't feel alienated.
Aww.
Cute, right? I know.
Yeah,
that one's brought to you by...
especially for an adaptive athlete.
Right. Oh my goodness. I hadn't even put that together. That's funny. That was brought to you by Go-Go Squeezies, which I just figured out have jokes on the bottom of them.
Oh.
I know. Nice little surprise there. What is your ideal workout?
Probably Fran Unbroken.
Whoa, what is your time?
I can't tell you. That's why I don't have it on my CrossFit thing.
Oh, it's a secret. What is one mistake people make with their nutrition?
Not eating enough.
Guilty. 100% guilty. Dad of 3. I never eat enough. Yeah. All right. So then follow up. What's a quick way for someone who's busy to eat enough?
Look at your protein first, your fruits and vegetables second, and then figure out the rest later. You'll get your protein and micronutrients that way.
Okay.
So you're not malnourished.
What is an easy fruit and vegetable to kind of keep with you?
Something that doesn't smash or spoil and has skin. So I really like cuties. I think they're the best, the little oranges, which also they help you absorb iron when you pair them with your protein. So there you go. It's like a win-win, right?
Wow.
But bananas are great, but they smash. Apples are pretty good. They last a long time, just not uncut.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to steal any more nutritional advice from you, but
And
this is
go-go
phenomenal. And go squeezies. Well, we already knew that. That's a given. Love it. All right. Speaking of snacks, what is your go-to snack before like a workout?
I really like to use ProCarb. It's made by Temp Performance. It's kind of like Gatorade, except it's powdered sweet potato.
Whoa.
So it's doing essentially the same thing as Gatorade, but without, for me, sugar like that. I don't eat a lot of sugar. So I eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. And I got a master's degree in dietetics to be able to tell everybody to do that.
I love it.
So for me, I just
practice
like
the Olympic
whole
lifts, some gymnastics, and yes,
regularly try new sports. Yes. For me, the quick carbohydrates, I need that. I'm tall, long, and lean, and I burn a lot of carbohydrates quickly. So I need that quick carbohydrate source. And the go-go squeeze, like those applesauce packets, are really great. But I just personally like something I can drink, not something that's in my mouth, like eating. I don't want to chew. And those go-go squeezes, I know you can drink them, but it's not the same.
Okay.
I need to be hydrated as well, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. What's one goal you're working towards outside of fitness?
Oh, wow. I was about to tell you my fitness goal because, of course, it was the first thing that came to mind, but then you had to specify outside of fitness.
Outside of fitness.
Oof. I want to be a really good mom. I really do. I have a 8-year-old daughter and she just demands attention and I want to give it to her.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
Cool. One last question in the lightning round. If you're picking the music on Spotify, what are we listening to?
Jessie Murph.
And what kind of music is that?
I would say she's kind of all over the place because she sings with rappers and then she also has this kind of grunge soulful genre of her own. So I think that's what she brings to those hits. But
okay. Well, thank you for this lightning round. That was very well done.
Thank you.
All right. I got 2 more questions as we wrap up. All right.
Okay.
So fill in the blank. Adaptation has taught me blank.
Adaptation has taught me that I can.
How's that mentality shifted for you? We've kind of hinted at it, I think, throughout the conversation, but maybe just to encapsulate that. What, like younger you, right? Like pre-CrossFit to now.
I think that younger me was just afraid and I had no confidence in my ability and lack of knowledge and lack of experience. I had no wisdom. Now I have a lot of experience and wisdom, which we didn't say this before, but I'm 45 years old. So I have a lot of wisdom and experience now. And as you get wiser and older, you just understand the world in a different way. And so now with all of those tools in my toolkit, I have more confidence and less fear.
Yeah. And as a parent, how's that changed the way you parent your kids?
Well, I did the whole thing when they were little. Like, okay, you fell down, get back up. I definitely did that, but I think pretty much everybody does that. think that's a well-known parenting tool. I tell them all the time, just because something feels good doesn't mean it is good. That's a saying I say all the time.
Hmm.
And I use that too because it feels really good to feel empowered. And I want to have balance. So I feel like part of my overall wellness and my journey has been being balanced in all areas. So making sure that I am healthy spiritually, making sure that I'm still working towards my educational goals, and that everything is not just tunnel visioned into this new superpower that I've figured out that I have, because it can really take away from everything else. Like, I am also a wife, I'm also a mom, I'm also a boss, I am all these other things. I'm not just an athlete. And so I want them to know that too.
Yeah. That like you can be really successful at something and you can still be a multifaceted, complex person. And we should have all these other things that we're responsible to as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So I would be curious, as we talk about being a multifaceted person, how do you balance school, parenting, and running an affiliate?
Yeah, I think we did a really good job of still excelling at work and at school, but also being present for the organization, or being really good at delegating.
Okay.
And also understanding, because we do like, you have to have certain attributes to even work for our organization. So there's a lot of things that you can teach, but there's a lot of things you can't. So I make sure that I have good people around me, and we really have the best gym in North Carolina. So,
well, you were telling me before we started recording, this is really what I wanted to get to, because I think this is phenomenal. All the stuff you guys have at your gym. And I don't mean stuff. Stuff sounds too loose. I mean, you guys have created
services.
A wellness center. Yeah, services exactly, to offer your clients that make such a well-rounded business. I mean, go ahead and brag on Tar Heel CrossFit for a minute.
Okay. So Tar Heel CrossFit, the gym in the back, and then up front is a coffee smoothie bar, and that's run by me. And then my office for registered dietitian things is right across from that. And then adjacent to my office, there is a hairdresser and a massage therapist. And then in our recovery room, which is where we have our Normatec pants and our cold plunge and our sauna, we have a PT and chiropractor in there. And then up front, we have an esthetician and a tattoo artist. So you can kind of get it all. And it's really encompassing like the overall wellness of a human. So you want a little bit of everything. Like how I said before, I was really fit, but I wasn't really prioritizing my recovery. And prioritizing your recovery, you're not broken, so you need to go see a physical therapist. Or you're not broken, so you need to go see a chiropractor. Or you're not broken, so you need to go get a massage. You should do all of those things preemptively. Like, you should see a registered dietitian before you need a registered dietitian. You should go to that health smoothie bar before you need to. It's so much harder. If you wait to do all of these things until you actually need them, then your journey is going to be 10 times harder. If you would just go now when you think that you're healthy, and you go get regular massages, see a PT. I know it's hard in our structure, the way that our society is structured, to get some medical care without some kind of sickness. Like, you have to have a code, right? This code says I'm sick in this way. Well, what if you said that, I mean, how many people are struggling with mental health, whether you're medicated or not, or whether you're seeking help or not? All of those things can also help with your mental health. So if you absolutely need some kind of code, you can tell your doctor, hey, I'm struggling with mental health, so I need to do X, Y, and Z, because there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that if you are taking care of your body, that it translates to your psychological health. So find a way. There is a way. Just like we're adapting to these movements because we're adaptive athletes, there is a way around how difficult the medical system currently is to get the care that you need preventatively.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but doctors can actually write a prescription of medical necessity for physical fitness. They just don't. If you walk into a doctor's office and you're like, hey, I really, want to get better, they're more likely to prescribe medicine to you. And it's easier, honestly, than to just write a script, but they can write a script for physical fitness, and then you can take how much you spend on your physical fitness and actually submit it to your insurance company for reimbursement if you have that prescription. But a lot of people don't even know that.
That's interesting. I had not heard that. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I really enjoyed having you on the podcast, hearing about your journey, not only growing as an affiliate owner, but growing as an athlete and just growing in that. What I love so much on this podcast is that mental space of this was my story when I was a kid and when I was growing up with this disability and now figuring out that it's my superpower. I just think that's a beautiful story. So thanks so much for being on the podcast. And it was so nice to meet you.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the podcast. I really enjoyed that part in Christina's story where she showed up to a CrossFit gym in Hawaii. They're slinging meats off the grill. And she's like, I don't think this is for me. I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to our first experience going into a CrossFit gym. But now Christina is a 2-time games champion. She runs an affiliate, a wellness center, and she's a registered dietitian. And I think something that's so critical in what she said is you don't have to be able to do to teach, right? I mean, I think we can relate to that as well. Those of us who are adaptive athletes who coach as well, is we can't do some of the movements that we coach, but that doesn't mean that we can't teach them to people. In fact, sometimes we can be some of the most effective coaches because we really have to think through that movement. We can't just go, look, it looks like this. So if you're an adaptive athlete listening to this, or the caretaker of an adaptive athlete, and maybe you're still in that I can't phase of this whole journey, Tina's episode is a challenge to focus on what you can do. Go attack the things that you can do in this sport or in whatever sport you're playing. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, subscribe to the podcast, share this episode with a friend. Every review or share makes a difference in getting this in front of someone who might need to hear it. I'm Matt Hotho. Keep adapting, and I'll see you next time.